here with Ariadne O from Streamate.
Hello.
Ariadne, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic, Vanessa. Well, I started camming in November of last year, towards the end of the month. So it's been about 7, 8 months for me now. It'll be a
Okay.
year in November, which is huge for me. It's a long time.
It's kind of like a relationship in a way, except
Yeah,
with like
or
lots of
just like
people.
any tenure with any other kind of job. Well, I consider this more of a career, but I have had lots of jobs in the past. And, I typically I nail it down in 3 months or less whether or not I feel devoted to it. So to me, this is a really big deal because it feels like devotion. In a way, it's a very powerful thing to have that ability. It means that really, if you choose to devote yourself to camming, you are really in control of whether or not your career becomes what it is that you visualize. No
Yeah.
one else is more in control than you. And I think that's what really attracts me to it more than anything else because I crave autonomy. I like being in control. I'm very type A.
Uh-huh.
So this is where I belong, I feel. Not to mention I would consider my personality to be very sensual,
Uh-huh.
giving, want to be around other people, want to spread happiness and
Uh-huh.
positivity to others. So it just comes very naturally.
I don't know if you've heard of her or if you follow her, but her name is Kimberly Chi. And actually, what you said resonates a lot with it aligns a lot with what she does. But she's actually in film and she does cam as well. She's like dabbling
I
in
know who
cam
Kimberly
music.
she is. I've seen her a couple of times. It's really weird that you bring her up actually because I became familiar with her a couple of weeks ago. That's really interesting.
Yeah, but yeah,
Wow.
the same sentiments that you just shared. That's like what she's all about, and I think she's really infused that into her brand. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
amazing, and we need more of that. To be honest, I mean,
I
oof,
completely agree. I think that it's really important because people want and are attracted to those who realize what their self worth is
yeah,
inherently. People are attracted to people who are confident and who want to share that with other people and who aren't afraid to share that with other people. So I would like to think that I'm on my way to just be by being that authentic person slowly
hmm.
each day more and more to accomplishing something similar. At least I certainly hope so.
During the time that you've been on cam and you've been developing your online persona, um, have there been things that you've picked up about yourself and that you've integrated into your shows that you've noticed?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that my creative side definitely has come out a lot more since I've become a full-time cam model.
Uh-huh.
It's an aspect of myself that I think was repressed by working a regular 9 to 5 because I just didn't find the time that was suitable to devote to it. But I really got to know people and they became interested in knowing me as well. So I started painting again,
Uh-huh.
painting on camera, painting
Oh.
while people were watching me, or talking about my art, getting to know people who are also artists and they share their art with me. It really has been this really incredible journey of self discovery and self fulfillment,
Uh-huh.
which is not something that you would really expect at all. But if you are yourself, people will totally be drawn to that. And I didn't realize that at first. So, yeah, I'm maximizing that because it feels really good. It really does.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And who would have thought that camming or porn would have brought that out in those deep down core characteristics about who you are. You wouldn't ever put those two together, but
No,
it's
no,
amazing.
not right off the top of your head. It would definitely take the experience, or what I think really made me have an idea that that could be possible was watching other models in the beginning and seeing how diverse the group of people that are into camming and that,
Yeah.
that's their bread and butter. It really is like a very diverse, huge, anything that you could possibly think of, it exists. So
Right.
there's definitely like niches are they're there and you can always carve your own out, and I think that's the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
It's unlike any other industry in that regard, I think. When it comes to this, we're already a bunch of weirdos who are very open anyways, so we're just going to be ourselves while we do it, I suppose.
So you mentioned that you are doing this full time. Can you give us an idea about what your current schedule is like?
So currently I work second shift. That's a shift that I'm very familiar with. It's something that I worked most often when I was working a regular white collar job, so to speak. So it's typically 11:30 in the morning till about 8 or 8:30 p.m. I try to shoot for about 5 to 8 hours a day because it's what I feel comfortable with, and I'm just a very driven person who likes to push myself like that. I think it's really good for character. And I do that 7 days a week. Sometimes I'll take days off, but it's not really something that I enjoy doing.
So you're in it full time for real.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. It's passion though. That's what it really is. That's what keeps me motivated is I actually enjoy showing up for cam. And there's excitement when I take a shower in the morning and I'm feeling good putting on my makeup. So it's really hard not to want to come to work.
It kind of is, like we were saying, like a relationship, like, oh, I can't wait, and you're getting the butterflies to see the other person.
Yes. Couldn't have said it any better. It's so true. Even just saying it now, I feel like that feeling that I get when I wake up in the morning and I'm getting ready. Like, yeah, today's going to be a great day.
So you're doing this 7 days a week, and it's for pretty long stretches. I'd say even a typical, what a 9-to-5er would do, you know, like about 8 hours
work way
a day.
more than I did before doing a typical 9-to-5. But I took on as many hours as I could when I was working a regular 9-to-5. So just a creature of habit, and I can't help but replicate it in this scenario as well, just to hold myself accountable. I like to have that schedule carved out. It's just better for me mentally, because it's so easy when you are an independent contractor or self-employed to not follow a schedule and to have everything kind of just fall apart and put it back together again. So I just want to stick to it so that way it doesn't happen ever.
I think that's kind of a trap that a lot of us fall into, as far as, you know, it is true that, you know, you have all of the flexibility in the world that you need as far as being a cam model and essentially running your own business. However, you still need to be consistent.
Consistency is probably key to anything. Even if you have been camming for years and let's say you've always had an irregular schedule, you could always just reignite the spark by being consistent. That's probably the biggest key to success, I would say.
Give us an idea of some of the themes of your shows. Do you cater more to the fetish realm, for instance?
Yes. Female domination, sensual domination specifically. I started off very vanilla because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I was still in the process of doing lots of research. But over time, a lot of people just started coming to my room, which ended up changing my style as I got more comfortable. So now I cater to more of a fetish / sensual domination kind of base.
Would they ask you for specific things prior to entering a show, and that's kind of what cracked the door open?
Yes, well, because it's always been a requirement of mine. I've never liked it when people would take me. I've always felt like it's just really weird to be taken private or exclusive without somebody asking, so I'd want people to be very detailed. And one of my very first shows, I remember very first day was a lotion show, which is something that I'd never done before, but it was just supposed to be on my stomach, so it was a belly fetish / lotion oriented show. And I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this at all. Okay, I can handle this, but I need to familiarize myself with some things. And then it snowballed after that, and it kind of just fell into my lap. It's really weird how that finds you, though. It's really weird.
Would you say that roughly 8 months into it, open-mindedness is very important as far as developing your shows, especially?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I really do, especially because a lot of people are coming to us and they're in a state of shame or maybe even denial about their own fetishes or kinks. So we need to be open-minded so that way they feel comfortable opening up to us, and then they can continue to feel comfortable opening up to others after having a positive experience. I think it's very important.
Where do you draw the line, though, between being open-minded and being uncomfortable?
For me, it comes to anything that just doesn't sit well with my gut. There are definitely hard limits, and that definitely depends on the person, what someone's hard limits are.
Right.
At the very beginning, I learned a very important lesson that you gotta just sit down and write or type out the things that you're not gonna want to do and the things that you are okay with doing. And for me, those limits are going to be completely different than others. Anything related to incest, anything related to bestiality or zoophilia, age play, those sort of things definitely cross the line for me. I understand, that fetish is complex and sexuality can be weird and maybe even gross at times, but for me, it's just a little bit too far.
So whenever you've been approached, and I'm sure this has happened at some point or another, by a user or a member who maybe had something a little bit more on the taboo end, and you knew that you were not going to go forward with it into private, how would you handle that type of situation?
I would typically let them know that I'm not coming from a place of judgment, so I wanted to set that straight before I say anything else, and then let them know that I don't personally cater to that fetish. I'm really sorry if that's what they were looking for, that I can provide something similar that is easier for me to handle, that maybe will still give them the same kind of experience that they're looking for, but I wouldn't be able to help them, and that I'm just really sorry. Yeah. No need to be mean or nasty, just keep it short and sweet.
No need to shame.
And no shame, and just let them know, like, hey, if there's anything else, though, you just let me know. I can definitely, take care of other things. It's just that is not something that I'm willing to do.
Right. You seem very relaxed, too, in what you do.
So
I think even being able to handle those types of potentially awkward situations, that's what makes you so approachable. And I have a feeling like people would remember that, even that kind of experience, and they would appreciate that, where they would come back even later.
Yeah, it's true. I have had a lot of people tell me that I have been really nice. They're like, thanks, sweetie, you were really sweet about that. I'm like, I really do appreciate that. Or in a room full of people, which can be, you're on a thin line there. That could be a very fine situation to handle. You got to be careful because there are other people around. You don't want to offend people or scare them off. Usually people commend me for how I handle something, because I keep in mind, like, how would I feel if I was approaching someone? There are things that I enjoy that maybe people wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable with. So I have to be nice, and then they'll pay it forward to other people by being nice.
I'd imagine in my head that these are people who maybe in real life would never approach other people in terms of even like hitting on them or talking about their deepest sexual desires. So if they can't do it to you, that must be really tough.
Yeah,
if they get the door slammed in your face.
It can make someone even more frustrated and upset because they've already concealed their face, their name, everything about themselves. That literally can't be any more confidential and anonymous than that. Right. So you got to be respectful.
Going back, what turned you on to camming? You said that you were working a white-collar 9-to-5. Would you mind if I asked what you were doing prior to getting started on cam?
I was a supervisor at a juice bar, and then I worked also part-time as a cashier at Whole Foods, actually. Okay. So these were two jobs that I was balancing at the same time. We're both, definitely food industry or like restaurant industry, customer service oriented, which is all that I'm familiar with. Telemarketing, all of that stuff. That's like what I used to do. Oh God, that's so weird.
But I'm sure those skills probably helped in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think so. I would say that people on cam that I deal with are a lot easier to handle than the people that I've had to deal with in person as a cashier, for example. I don't think the level of pettiness comes even close to some of the things that I've experienced in real life.
Well, then again, it is Whole Foods. It's like, is this like really non-GMO?
Touche.
Oh God, no! I'm in Seattle. That's all the time.
Yes,
not only Whole Foods,
it drives me insane. But you know what? I will say, those experiences definitely I appreciate. They weren't the best for me, but they've made me really appreciate what it is that I have now. That's for sure.
being that you were coming from that background, that more vanilla background, was it something that you saw online? Was it someone that you knew that
Well,
turned you on to this?
actually, a long time ago, right after I just gotten out of high school before college, I was a shot girl, and a lot of girls that I worked with were cam models, were
Okay.
escorts, were working in various other parts of the adult industry. So I became familiar with camming at the time, but never really thought much about it, never really looked into it. I lived with my mom still, so there really was
Oh,
no way for me to do that,
yeah.
well,
Uh-huh.
without it snowballing into something bad really quickly. So
Right.
I ended up doing a little bit more research about it after I had just kind of gotten fed up with juggling two jobs where I was working really hard to obtain a better position, but not getting a lot of respect for it.
Uh-huh.
And just kind of getting sick of being trampled on. And I found a forum, did a lot of research,
Okay.
and found myself really, really wanting to do it, which I didn't expect, but I really just wanted to try it. And
Uh-huh.
lo and behold, I found myself buying equipment and thinking about how I was going to set up for my first show, and here we are now.
That's so surreal. Like the
I,
way that you talked about it, like going and buying equipment. Like,
mhm.
I guess I'm really gonna move forward and do this now, right?
Oh yeah, when I first bought that terrible Logitech webcam, the 270, that's when it had been cemented. I spent $20 for my first webcam because I didn't have a whole lot, and I
Yeah,
was like, well, you know what? I'm spending my hard-earned 20 on this webcam. We're gonna make it
yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah. But it sounds like you did quite a bit of research, especially if you're talking about forums. I mean, I know you'll
Yes.
probably get it's an open book on there, and
But
you
yeah,
know,
it really is. People
yeah,
are upfront and honest, and I like having the stories from people who are actually in the industry that
yeah,
this is their day to day life because they're not going to lie to me, they're not going to mislead me, they're going to be very honest with me, and they're going
mm,
to give me the best advice moving forward, which is exactly what happened. And I just found that there was a lot of potential for growth, embraced myself for all kinds of possibilities, and also for just, being open to anything that could possibly happen as a result of doing that research.
uh-huh,
I think that it's really important. I do. I think that when you do that research, you come at it from a different angle than you do if you're just somebody who is just jumping right into it because you want to, but you haven't really covered all your bases or done any work to cover all your
oh my
bases.
gosh, that's such wise advice, and that's such a sensible approach, really, because I feel like a lot of times it's more of an impulsive decision, and it's really not something that you could just leap into with no
No.
plan. You have to have some sort of a plan.
There are definitely a few people who get really lucky, and right off the bat, when they jump into camming, it's very successful for them, and
Uh-huh.
they didn't even have to come well prepared. Like, they didn't even have anything they needed. They just found
Gosh,
their audience at that
you hate
time.
them all.
That Yes, yes, but the reality for most of us is
Right.
it's going to take some time to hack away and carve your niche, and you need to
It's true.
prepare for that. You need to be willing to sink your claws in pretty much from day one, no slacking off. I think that's the most important thing to realize, and that if you do your research, you'll be okay, and you will
Yeah.
be less scared too because you'll have some semblance of an idea of what to expect. It will completely throw you for a loop.
Structure, basically.
I'm really obsessed with taking notes myself. I didn't really do that in the beginning, and that was definitely a detriment because it's so hard to keep track of all the little subtleties about somebody when you're maintaining relationships with dozens and dozens of people all the time.
Mm,
So I would
yeah.
say that taking notes and also asking a lot of questions in the beginning as you're getting to know somebody, something that I like to do is compile a list of people that have been there with me since the beginning and
Okay.
take note of their birthdays. And when their birthdays come around, just give them a few gifts, a few videos, remind them that I really appreciate them
Oh.
being there for me. It's just, kind of my version of giving back. Something else that I also think is really important when it comes to the business aspect is working on websites, working on
Mm, mm,
research like SEO research, search engine optimization. When you're uploading your photos onto Twitter, what are you using to tag them so that way people can find your images when they search your name on Twitter? All
uh-huh.
of these different little things that I didn't really expect to have to deal with this business end. Uh, I think I have. God, how do I even want to put this? This is so weird. Just because I have really learn a lot of different things that I didn't really expect to have to learn in the beginning, and it's still very overwhelming to think about in some regards. And you have to take your time when you're putting it together. But yeah, I would say that those are a few of the things that I definitely do. That I'm still also working very hard on creating content, videos, photo sets, all sorts of things. It's almost the majority of what I do is offline, managing things like that, as opposed to being on camera. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to maintain what does go on in front of the camera.